Hey everybody, what I'm going to try to do in this video, it's probably going to be a really long video. I'm going to try to explain how you figure out your scales when you see something that says 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. There's going to be a lot of theory involved in here. I'm going to do it on the guitar and then I'm going to go over to the paper. There are a lot of gay-ass videos online that try to explain this, and it's really hard to understand because it's hard to explain. So this video might be terrible like the others. But first, what I'm going to do, everything is based on the major scale, and if you don't understand any of what I'm talking about, you're probably going to be really lost. But everything's based on the major scale, like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Whole, half, whole, half. If you don't understand that, then you can watch some of my other videos. But here is just the major scale. It doesn't matter where you play it because it's dependent on the key. Like if I start over here, that would be G. If I start over here, it would be A, mainly because this is the G on the 6th string and this is the A on the 6th string. And if I started over here, it would be C. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the paper in a minute, but I just want to show you the pattern of the major scale, which is 1. Here's the whole, half, whole, half. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And it just keeps continuing. But when you move up the scale, when you move up the fretboard, it changes pattern because now you're starting off at a different point. That's why there are 5 positions or 7 positions, depending on where you're starting. If you don't understand that, that's okay too. Let's just stick with the first position on everything and stay with the video. It's going to make a lot of sense. I promise this will make sense. So what we have here, I could start over C, but I'm not going to move the thing up because of the let's just assume that this is the 8th fret. Okay? Let's assume this is the 8th fret. This is C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. What you just saw me do is the major scale for the key of C. I know I could be down here, but I'm just doing this for the camera. The major scale for the key of C, and I did the first position of the scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So let me do it again. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Do, re. Again, that is, you saw it in the do, re, mi. Now we'll do it, assuming again that this is the 8th fret. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Or we could also do it whole, half, whole, half. So hopefully you're starting to see the pattern. There's the do, re, mi. There's the notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, when we're doing this in the key of C. Those are all the notes in the key of C. There is also the whole, half. And there is also, if you look, you will see that many sites explain the whole is the root note. So again, if this was C, that would be the root note. And you would go whole. So that would be root note. And the whole would be the 2nd note in the scale. Whole, there we go, root, whole, half, whole. And this would be root, this would be the 2nd note in the scale, this would be the 3rd note in the scale, this would be the 4th note, the 5th note, the 6th note, the 7th note, and the root note of the 1st note again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we start over again with the root note or the first note in the scale. If you got to this point, you understand a lot more than most people do. And I'm going to take this to the paper in a minute so you can start to understand more. Root, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root or 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or we start again with the root. So you've got the do, re, mi, you've got the C, D, E, F, G, which are only the notes in the key of C. If you understand your notes in your keys, then you can convert this to any other key and you would be doing like G. Well, I don't have to explain it. If you don't understand that, watch some of the other videos. So when we have the root note here, and then we have this as the second note. Now remember, this is the major scale, so this is the root note, or the first note, major 2, major 3, major 4, major 5, major 6, major 7, root note again, major 2, major 3, major 4, major 5, major 6, major 7, and then the root note or the first note again. So what is in between all of that? You have your minor notes. Root note, if this is root note, and this is the second note, then this is minor second. So this is root note, root note, second note, which is major second. Root note, major second, is minor second in between. That is how you start to figure out what notes go into scales. Root note, second, this is major second, which would make this minor second. So if root note, minor second, major second, this would be minor third, this would be major third, this would be fourth. So if you understand this, you can figure out everything involving the scales. If this is root, and this is second, and this is minor second, root 2, and this is 3. If this is major 3, because we're in the major key, if this is major 3, this is minor 3. Major 3, here we have the 4. Remember, root, major second, third, fourth. And why is it third and fourth? Because it was C, D, E, F. That's your whole, half. Remember the whole half? Whole. Okay. So if you remember that, then this should start to make some sense. So if you've got root here, and 2, and this is 3 and 4, then you know that root 4, 5, and if you have root 4, 5, what is between 5? Well, some people will call it a minor fifth, but it's really called a diminished fifth. You have a fifth, and when you take something down, it's either a minor, you're going a minor, or you're diminishing it. And if you take something upward, you're augmenting it, you're adding to it. So diminished means taking away, augmenting means adding. So if you've got your fourth and your fifth here, in between the fourth and the fifth only, they call it a diminished fifth, or if you want to call it a minor fifth, go ahead. That's your fifth. This is an augmented fifth, or some people will call it a minor sixth. And then you would have your 6 over here. So you can start to see, when you look at all the notes on the fretboard, it's very confusing, but when you start to draw this out, I promise you, draw this out, you're going to start to see a pattern, and it will make a lot of sense to you. So again, if we have root, or 1, minor second, third, because we're in the major key, this would be minor third, this is major third, fourth, diminished fifth, and we have our 6th over here, minor 6, or you could be the augmented fifth, minor 6, 7, minor 7, 7, and then we have 8, or we're back to a new octave, or we're add a new octave, or the first, and then we go over to here. That's the second. And remember, when we had the second, we had the third and the fourth. Minor second. I mean, that's the second. Minor third, third, major third, and then that's the fourth. Remember EF? That EF example I used, there's no space, it's the half. Whole half, EF. You got your seventh over here. You have your root. So if you have the root here and you have the seventh here, which is your half, remember C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. There's a half step between E and F and B and C. So you've got your... So if we were starting on the C, this would be B, C. So you've got the seventh, and you have your eighth, or your root note, your do, or the first note of the scale. 1, 7, minor seventh. Get it? Get it? Minor seventh, major seventh, root, or the first. 1. So we'll do that one more time. Yeah, this is going to be a long video. So you've got the do, re, mi's, and you've got the whole halves. Whole, half, whole, half, and it continues all the way down. Or you've got your root, or the first, the second note, which would make it a major second because we're in the major key, minor second, root, major second, major third, and if that's a major third, this would be a minor third, major third. There's no space between a third and a fourth. Remember EF or BC, 3, 4, minor 4, well, what am I mean, that's 4. Cancel the minor 4. 4, minor fifth or diminished fifth, fifth, and that would make this augmented fifth, or minor sixth, 5. So I think you're starting to see the pattern of the root notes and the do, re, mi, the 1, 2, 3, the whole half. So now let's go to the paper and try to figure this out and make sense of the whole thing. Hopefully you are still with me. If you are, then maybe this will make sense. And let's assume that we're in the key of C. The root note would be C. If we were in the key of D, the root note would be D. The root note is the first note of the key that you're in. So let us assume that we're in C because it's the easiest one without sharps and flats to understand. That would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we would start over again with the root note C. That would be your whole, half, whole, half that you know. Or it would be your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and then you're starting again do. Okay, so if you understand that, we are doing really good. Now, these are the patterns that you'll see when you look at things that talk about scales. You'll see for natural minor, it will say 1, 2, flat third, fourth, fifth, flat 6, flat 7. For the blues, 1, flat third, fourth, flat fifth, fifth, flat 7th, minor pentatonic 1, flat the third, 4, 5, and 7, and your major scale, like we talked about, is all of the notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and then starting again with do. So that would be C, D, E, F, remember the half, G, A, B, B, and C. You'd start over again with your half step. So that would be your scale, your whole scale. So let's go take all of this stuff that we see here and figure out how do you put it on a chart, or how do you play it on the fretboard so it makes sense. Now remember, I'm only doing the first position for you. So pentatonic, Penta is 5. That will have 5 positions, if that makes any sense. Okay, if it doesn't, that's fine. Major has 7 notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, or C, D, E, F, G, A, B for the key of C. So it's got 7 positions. Most people will just play 5 positions and not 7. If that doesn't make sense to you, that is fine too. So let's look at what we have here. The major scale is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're playing all 7 notes in the major scale. So if you were in the key of C, that would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If you were in the key of G, then you would be G, A. Well, you know that you like your whole half, whole half, and your major and your minors, and then your major and your 2 majors, your minor again. If that doesn't make sense, again, that's okay, because now we're going to go over, remember this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we're going to go over to the chart, which is really the fretboard. Now, this is really what your fretboard looks like if you get rid of your notes and you just do your whole half, whole half. So let's assume now we're working with the key of C because it doesn't have sharps or flats, so it's going to make it easy. Let's assume that this is the 8th fret, which is C, and we want to do the major scale. And we know that it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they are all major notes because we're in the major scale. And remember, I showed you the pattern here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we look over here, what we have is 1. These are minor. Remember I showed you your minors? Minor is the small m, major is the big M. So we have 1, 2. Hopefully you're seeing this right now and the lights are coming on and it's making a lot of sense. When I did it this way, I went, so that's what this is all about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, what you've got to remember is, I don't really want to ruin this sheet of paper because I'm going to be using this for the other example, so I'm going to be sliding this paper up here. And I'm only using 4 boxes. Don't get all mixed up on why he's only using 4. I don't want to redraw this whole thing. But let's assume that this box here is, we're going to start off on the 8th fret, just so I don't have to draw this whole thing out again. Now, remember I told you that the major scale was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? So if we've got this as the root, and we know that there is a root and a minor second and a major second, we know that this is our second that we want. I'm not going to do the major and the minor. You don't need to see me do that again. So you can see that we've got root and we've got the second. Remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we've got root 2, then we've got 3 over here, and we've got 4 over here, and we've got 5 over here. So let's put that over there. 3. And then we've got 4, which would be if you were doing C, D, E, F, G, C, D, E, F, whole, half. Is it making sense? Whole, half, whole, which is the 5 over here. And then we're going to go to the 6th, the major 6, and then we're going to go to the major 7th, and then we're going to go to the root note or the first position again. So whole, half, whole, root or 1, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So if you look that up on your fretboard, you'll see those notes are right. And then once we're over at the root, we still want to go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we look at the major again because we're in the key, we're in the major key. So that would be the 2. So we'll put a 2 over here. And this would be the 3. We have the minor 3 and the major 3. So we'll put the 3. And remember, your whole half, no space between B and C and E and F, so we do that. So now we've got we're pretty much duplicating this on here. So if we've got the major fourth, see, major fifth, major sixth, we're skipping a space over here because we're not using the minor. The key is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all in majors. So we'll go 4, 5, 6, and then we have the 7 up here, the major 7. And then we have the root note, or 8, or 1. And then we have the major again, major. So what do we have here? What we have here is the major scale, first position. Now I'm going to get out the guitar again, and you're going to see we have 1. If you would play this with the guitar, you'd be using your middle finger to start. You'd be using this, and you'd be going 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'd be going 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. How did you get that? We're dealing with the major. When I start getting into these other scales, it's going to make a lot of sense. So here's the guitar, and this is what I just showed you. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. That matches up with your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That matches up with the major scale of using all 7 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or in the key of C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C. And now let's go on to the other scales where it will all come together. What you just saw me play is what you will see in most books. The first position of the major scale, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. So let's go on to the minor pentatonic, and it's going to start to make a lot more sense when I give you a different example. We just did the major. Now we're going to do the minor pentatonic, which is the second in the 4 examples I'm going to show you. The pattern for minor pentatonic is 1, or the root note. You flat the 3rd, you use the 4th, the 5th, and the 7th. 1, flat the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 7th. Make sure you remember this is only in the first position that I'm showing you. This applies to all the positions, but you just have to figure out the pattern, where you're starting or where you're continuing in that second position as you flow down the fretboard. So we're strictly doing the first position now, so this all makes sense to you. Now remember I said we were using 1, which is the root, flat 3rd, which is a minor 3rd. You're going to see this written mostly in flats, and you're not going to see it written in minors and majors. You're going to see, well, let me show you what you're going to see. Here we have the pentatonic scale. Now you're going to see it written as a flat, which is the B over here, sorry. You're going to see it as a B, as a flat, as a minor 3rd. This is going to be a major. That's your root or your first. That's going to be your 4th. That's going to be the 5th. It's going to be a minor 7th and a minor 3rd, or a flat 7th and a flat 3rd. So, if you see this, you're going to see a finger pattern like this. 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. Where do you get that? How do they come up with this pattern when you've got this as the what you're going to be playing? Let's go back over to the chart. I know this isn't the most high-tech setup doing this on my floor next to my door, but here we go. So we saw that we were using 1, which is the root, over there, and then we were using the flat 3rd, which is over here, and then we were using the 4th, and then we were using the 5th, and then we were using the flat 7th, and then we start over again with the root and the flat third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the flat seventh, minor seventh, and the root, and the flat third. So what does that give us? 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4, which is the pattern that I just showed you over here. Let's get this paper out again. The 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4. Did I say that right? 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4, which is your pentatonic, your minor pentatonic, and that is what you'll normally see because that explains how you're playing the scale. So let's do that on paper now. Here we have the root. I'm not going to do the 1, 1, 4, 1, 3 thing. Here we have the root, and we have the minor third. And then we have 4. And then we have 5. And then we have minor 7. And then we have root. And then we have minor third. And we have 4, which is listed as major 4. And then we have 5, and then we have the minor 7, and then we have the root, and then we have minor third. And that is your pentatonic scale first position. 1, 4, 1, 3, oops, sorry. I must have put 7 lines in here instead of 6, so let's cancel this line out of here. Sorry about that. So that would be your 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. And that would be your pattern that we were talking about over here. 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4, with your root, the flat third, the fourth, the fifth, and the flat seventh. On to the blues scale next. Again, sorry about this non-high-tech way that I'm doing this, but the whole point is to learn. So we've got the blues scale now. The blues scale is really the pentatonic. You see how we've got the pentatonic? Well, the blues scale is the pentatonic scale, but we're also putting a flat fifth in there. It's the exact same thing, except we flat the fifth. Remember I said when we're flatting the fifth, it's a minor fifth or it's a diminished fifth. So mainly what we're doing is we're doing the exact same thing that we did with here, but we're putting a minor fifth in there, and that gives you your blues scale. So rather than draw the whole thing out, again, let's just use, here we have, you can see over here, let's get it all set up. You've got root, root, minor third, you've got the fourth over here, and the fourth, and this is the fifth. So since that's the fifth, then we're going to put a flat 5 in there. This is your blues note. That's your blues note. Now let's go and find, we've got root, we've got flat third, we've got the fourth, we've got the fifth, but we're flatting the fifth also. We've got flat 7 over here, and then we start with the root again. And we have the flat third over here, flat third over here, and then we have the fourth. Now, remember I said we had to do a minor fifth. We're flatting the 5. Well, since this is the fourth over here, the next one over would be minor fifth, flatting the fifth. And you would do it over here. Now you could do it over here. I think you can see that. You could do it over here, but then that would really make you have to struggle to play the pattern. So it's easier to do, instead of doing this minor fifth, it's easier to do the minor fifth over here. And that would be your pattern for the blues scale. First position, let's go back up here to my incredible notes. 1, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. This is your that's your minor pentatonic scale, and then we put in the blues notes where we put the flat fifth in there, the minor fifth, and that's how you come up with understanding your blues scale of 1, flat 3, 4, flat 5, 5, and flat 7. One more to go, and then we are finished. Here's the natural minor. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, and flat 7. And again, we're going to have another example where you have a choice of going to the left or the right to make this work without having to move your hand all over the place. So this is another good example. If you understand the first three that I did, you'll understand the fourth one, and at least you will know more theory than your average person who's playing the guitar. So let's work now with 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, and flat 7. Now we go back over to this chart over here. Since I'm not going to be needing this chart after I finish this, I will use this one. Remember I said the pattern was 1, 2, flat the third, 4, 5, flat the sixth, and flat the seventh. So let's go and do that. There's 1. There's 2. Remember, it said 1, 2, flat third, or minor third. It didn't say minor second, so we don't use this one. We use the major. We only use the minor or the flat. Well, we only use the minor when we're flatting. Is flatting a word? I don't know. So we do 1, and then we do 2, which is the major second, and then I said we were flatting the third, which is going to be our minor third. Remember, you want to try to keep, the idea behind these scales is you are trying not to have to move your fingers all over the place. So most of this stuff is done within a 4-finger range. So we've done the first 3 notes of the minor scale, the natural minor, and the next note was a 4. Now, you certainly aren't going to want to go 2 over to do the 4 over there, so we're going to do the 4 over here. The next note after that was a 5. And don't forget, remember how I said this is diminished fifth or minor fifth or flat fifth? Augmented fifth or flat 6 or minor 6. Okay, so we're doing 1, 2. I'll show that to you again just so you can see it, so you know what we're doing. We're doing the 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, and flat 7. If you need to write that down so that makes sense while you're watching this, that's fine. So we've got 4 and 5. Now we're going to be flatting the 6, or using a minor 6. You certainly wouldn't want to go over to here. You could, but it depends on the pattern. And they came up with this because it's going to be easier when you see the whole thing put down on paper. So you've got your root, your major second, your flat third, your fourth, your fifth, your flat 6, and now we're going to have a flat 7th, a minor 7. You don't want to go out over there, so we're going to go out over here. Makes sense, right? After the minor 7, we start back over with 1. That puts it in here. Remember, we're strictly doing the first scale right now, just so that you, or the first position, so you can understand it. So we do the root, and then the next one is a 2, a major 2, or a 2, and you have a choice there. You want to go out over here, or do you want to go out over here? Well, they set it up so you go out over here. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to do a flat third. That's why they did it over there. Otherwise, you'd be all over the place. So you've got your flat third, and then you've got your fourth. And then you have your fifth. And then you have your flat 6. Then you have your flat 7th. And then you start over again with your root. And you start over again with your major 2. And so what you have here is the first position of your natural minor scale, which is normally played this way. 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, and I like to say slide. I don't know what other people say, but I go like 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, slide 1, 3, and then I slide back over 1, 2, 4, 1, 3. So it just depends on how you want to do it, but that is what your natural minor scale ends up looking like, this. So, and it comes from this. Now, if I did my job right, then you understand what all this stuff is, how you come up with the finger patterns, why they came up with the finger patterns for this type of nomenclature over here. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and you understand how to do your blues scale, your pentatonic scale, your major scale. Everything comes from the major scale. Again, that is why if you start off and you do this on paper, you can do this with the fretboard too, but if you start off, you start to see the pattern. When you look at this as C, D, E, F, G, it really doesn't make sense. Now you can move this. We're starting on the 8th fret key of C right now. If we were going to start off on the 5th fret, I don't even have it, 8, 7, 6. If we were going to start off on the 5th fret over here, we could make this the root, and that would be the minor 2nd, and this would be the major 2nd, and this would be the minor 3rd, and the major, and you would draw it out that way. And now you should be able to understand a little bit easier how this whole thing comes together with the intervals. These are called intervals. That's a root, that's a minor 2nd, major 2nd, an interval, whole half, or a root and a major and a minor. That's where all that stuff comes from. I hope you benefited from this video. Subscribe if you want. Do a thumbs up, a like, or whatever you do here. Go to my main page. If you learned something from this and you're not taking guitar lessons, maybe you want to go to my channel page and click on the donate to support this thing and help me out with a little dinero for the time I put in here. And if you don't want to, as long as you learn, that's the most important thing, and that we spread this on and help everybody learn. So that's it. I'm going to go post this thing. Feel free to link this to any website you want to. Bye.